Welcome to the Contractors video series. This video discusses the tax responsibilities for contractors who perform construction work for exempt organizations. If you don't understand the terms used in this video, please watch the contractor overview video. An exempt organization is an entity that is either exempted under state or federal law or approved by our office to be exempted from Texas sales and use tax. Be aware though that some of the exemptions apply to specific types of exempt entities. Automatically exempt organizations are entities that are granted an exemption under Texas tax laws without regard to the use of the items they purchase. Federal, state, and local governments are automatically exempted from Texas taxes. Many nonprofit organizations have been granted 501c exemption status by the IRS, which is a federal entity. This 501c status does not automatically grant the organization tax exemption in Texas. To be recognized as exempt from Texas sales and use tax, these organizations must apply to the Comptroller's Office for exemption on purchases necessary for an organization's exempt purpose. When you do work for an exempt organization, you must get proof showing the contract is exempt. In general, a properly completed exemption certificate is sufficient. A written contract or purchase order from governmental entities is also acceptable proof. In most cases, you can verify an organization's exempt status by using our tax-exempt entity search, which is available on our website. In some cases where you cannot determine if an entity is exempt, contact our office or visit a local field office for additional assistance. When your contract is with a governmental entity exempted under Texas Tax Code Section 151.309 or a religious, educational, or public service organization exempted under Section 151.310, you can give an exemption certificate when buying certain qualifying items for your job. Regardless if you bill your customer using a lump sum or separated contract, you can give your suppliers your own exemption certificate referencing the exempt contract and listing yourself as the purchaser instead of paying sales tax on incorporated materials, consumables that are essential to the job and completely used up or destroyed after one use at the job site, and taxable services performed at the job site that are integral to completing the job or specifically required by the contract that you must provide or purchase. For example, a city hires you to repair a city road. You can give an exemption certificate instead of paying sales tax on taxable items incorporated into the road, such as concrete and asphalt, and on certain types of consumable items that you use to complete the job, such as barricade tape. You must pay sales tax on items that you use to provide your services, such as machinery, equipment, accessories, equipment repair and replacement parts used at the job site, office supplies, furniture, computers, and taxable services that you use, such as telecommunication services. Remember, you cannot give an exemption certificate for machinery and equipment you rent or purchase to use on the job. For example, if you need to rent a bobcat to complete the construction work, you owe tax on the bobcat rental. You can ask to be reimbursed for the equipment rental, like a backhoe, plus tax by building the rental cost into the pricing of the lump sum contract, or separately state a reimbursement amount. Your use of the equipment is not a sale or rental to the exempt organization. Here's an example of how to bill an equipment rental reimbursement to a customer. Let's assume the equipment rental was $10,000 plus $825 in tax. Here's how you would show it on the invoice. Sometimes, an exempt entity such as a city in our example is reluctant to pay a tax reimbursement. However, if the contract requires the exempt entity to reimburse you for expenses incurred in completing your construction work, then the exempt entity may pay you the total reimbursement cost, including the tax. In this case, the exempt entity is reimbursing its contractor for their expense to rent the equipment, including the sales tax paid by the contractor. Because the rental is not used directly by the exempt entity, the exemption does not apply. In summary, for exempt contracts, you do not collect sales tax from your customer. You must collect an exemption certificate or government purchase order from your customer. You can give an exemption certificate when you buy the incorporated materials, consumables, and certain taxable services when working for entities exempted under Texas Tax Codes Section 151.309 or 151.310. You must pay sales tax when you buy, rent, or lease equipment. If you perform non-residential construction work for exempt organizations, you must apply for a sales tax permit. You can apply online at our website, visit one of our local field offices, or print out and mail an application, which is available on our website. Thanks for watching our video. You should now understand your tax responsibilities when performing work for an exempt organization. If you need to, you can watch this video again to review the information presented.